And you know what? Today it is Financial Wednesday. We already spoke about it yesterday. How can you build an emergency fund? We have a financial advisor in the building. We're learning how to be financially stable, working towards financial freedom. I like the thought of that.
Aya, pale Facebook. Kaluda Coastal Kid pale anasema good morning na DJ Sulesh anasema good morning Mshomoroni niko locked. Yeah.
Asante sana watu wa Mshomoroni. Good to hear from you.
Nafaa nikupeleke huko.
I think I've been there.
Ushafika Mshomoroni?
Na muache kuzunguka magonjwa ya Mombasa haya mzunguke alafu.
Hatuendi nini?
Nimesema muache kuzunguka.
Hatuvuki bridge ya Kibarani. Mshomoroni ni hapa town.
What do you mean kuzunguka Gona? What are you talking about?
Mombasa iko na magonjwa yasiyoeleweka.
So you want us to stay in one central place?
Just stay in Nyali.
Okay. Hey, Gona, I can't have secrets in my life. Anyway, story aside. Good morning, Maureen.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the show, my dear.
Thank you.
All right. So in studio we do have Maureen Charana. She's a certified public accountant with a bachelor's degree in commerce from Kenyatta University and is currently pursuing a postgraduate diploma in tax administration at Kenya School of Revenue Administration under JKUAT. So Maureen has a wealth of experience in finance and accounting. Charana previously worked in the banking sector at Standard Chartered Bank, Kenya headquarters in the Global Technology Operation Department. And she later moved to the tea industry where she has over 9 years experience in tea buying and export operations. So currently she is the finance and operations manager at Afro Teas Limited, a high quality tea export company registered under IATA and Tea Board of Kenya. Wow. Your CV is impressive. How are you?
I'm fine.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We want to talk about emergency fund, how to build an emergency fund. First of all, let's start with what exactly is an emergency fund? Yes.
Thank you for having me. And when we talk about an emergency fund, it is a fund that is relatively easily and quickly accessible to you should you encounter an emergency in your life. So when you're thinking of creating an emergency fund for yourself, you think about investments which are highly liquid. As soon as you need them, you liquidate whatever investment you've done and you get your money and use it as you wish for your emergency purposes. Yes, so liquidity is what you think about when you're creating an emergency fund.
Okay, so 2 things. You've said investments which are highly liquid, and then you've mentioned when in case of an emergency. What would you say is an emergency? What would you refer to as an emergency?
In our Kenyan context,
yes,
an emergency would be considered, there are different types of emergency for different people. An emergency to me might not be an emergency to you. Okay. But now speaking on a personal level, an emergency could be anything medical. An emergency could be another more lucrative investment, long-term investment that you consider it an emergency to invest in. An emergency could be a family issue that requires school fees or something of the sort. So it depends on each person's perspective of what is an emergency, because it's relative to personality. Yes.
Okay, and then now when we look at when you say we need to something that you can liquidate, could you break that down first on liquidation? So let's say I'm setting aside money for an emergency fund. So my emergency would be in case I lose a job. All right. And Salim's emergency would be, again, we've talked about medical. So in case any of this, like we're blessed and, this does not happen, does that money still stay there? Or now, is this now what you're talking about? Now we can liquidate. Could you break that down?
Yes. So when you have saved for your emergency fund, you have to put a threshold up to what level should be considered maximum, because you can reach a level where you have over accumulated funds and it is staying there and not getting you returns that it could get you if it is invested elsewhere. So there's a threshold which you can say, I will keep my emergency fund up to the extent of, for example, 2 million or 1 million, depending on your operations in life. So when it gets to that amount, then you can shift it, any amount after 2 million, you invest it in something else, which you would consider another level of investment, not an emergency, as long as you've retained your emergency fund there. Now, when you talk about the emergency fund in itself and liquidation, it is liquidation is when you can turn that investment into quick cash, into money which you will go use to pay for a bill, to pay for another investment, to pay for school fees and such. So how fast can you convert what you have invested into cash? That is where you look at now the different types of investments. So if it is an investment for an emergency fund, you look at quick liquidity investments like shares or SACCOs, where you can easily apply for an emergency loan, or other in the stock market. There are other high liquidity investments which you can consider at that point.
Yeah. And what should be the threshold? What should someone aim at having in there? How much should someone aim at having in the emergency fund before you say, okay, now I've hit my threshold, so now after this, now I need to liquidate this, or pretty much invest the rest of it? Yes.
Well, your threshold depends on your lifestyle.
Okay.
Because my lifestyle could be, there are different levels of lifestyle. People have different levels of lifestyle, and one is flying in and out of the country. One is geographically limited to a certain location and a certain social life. So you find that whatever risk they're exposed to is only limited to whatever activities they engage in. And so their risks could barely surpass a certain amount of money, should it be needed. And other people who have, let's say, travel a lot, or they engage in high risk activities. Some of the people go bungee jumping and things like activities which are risky to their lives. So you find that they would even take life insurance. Further than that, they would take what is it called? The emergency evacuation, kind of, you invest in that. That is also an emergency fund investment. So depends on your circle, your activities, your geographical region, because there is also travel insurance. So if you don't travel, or you rarely travel, why would you take travel insurance?
Where are you going to?
Yeah, you have to consider that.
Yeah.
So it actually is relative to each individual circle and activities. I
hear people say that save up to 6 months of your income.
Yes.
In case of a rainy day. What's your take on that?
That is good advice for somebody who is 6 months of their, not monthly income,
expense.
But expense.
Expense, yes. 6 months of your expense, yes.
Exactly. 6 months of your monthly expenses, and as well as, let's say, a holiday. If you are used to taking holidays, so you've lost a job or you've lost a source of income, and you still need to take your holiday. Maybe you have kids who are used to this routine, and you can't tell them, we are not going for holiday because I lost a job. So you also put that included. You can't tell them you won't get medical attention because I lost a job. You put that in the emergency fund category. So you don't just save exactly 6 months. You save that plus all the perks you're used to, and this 6 months gives you a time period for you to go and look for another source of income. It's not 6 months for usage and sit.
Yeah.
It's 6 months of getting your backup to come to life.
Yes.
Your backup plan to come to life. So you start getting another source of income, and then it will be a smooth transition between the time you lost that one source of income to the time you've transitioned to your second source of income.
Okay. Now, for somebody living paycheck to paycheck, and we have a lot of that, right? What are the first steps that somebody can take to start building an emergency fund? Because most of the times you look at our paycheck and you're like, I don't even have enough to save. Like, how am I starting to? I can't even put money in my savings account then all of a sudden there's an emergency fund thing there. What would you tell this person?
I think we should all operate with a budget.
Okay.
No matter what amount of money you're earning at the end of the month, you should operate with a budget.
Yeah.
Within your budget, you should have all your expenses categorized. The ones that are necessary, you must expense this amount of money every month. You have to cater for it. And then at the end of it, you have to retain an amount for savings. And then from the savings is where you will pick your emergency fund from and other investments from.
Okay.
So your savings turn into investments and emergency funds and other sort of funds. So it is not impossible, no matter how little your income is.
Yeah.
It is very much possible. It's a matter of budgeting and categorizing and being disciplined to stick to your budget, because you can create a budget and at the end of the month, once you've received your income, you forget about it. You start, somebody has called me, I need a loan here. There, get it. So another call from home, we need sugar. There, get it. But if you're strict to your budget, you can even budget for such that you limit the money you're giving back, the black tax, the money you're giving back to society. You know, in Africa, we have a lot of black tax.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so you limit it so that you don't become the Red Cross. And at the end of it, you have nothing for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, so it is necessary to stick and be disciplined within your budget.
Okay.
Maureen, right?
Yes.
Mimi kama nimekuelewa, tumezungumza hapa emergency fund, but kuna active income na passive income. Whatever umezungumza mostly kwa passive income, umezungumzia what do you call it, NSE, shares. Hizo ni vitu zenye umeweka lakini zina work, wewe uko na shughuli zako.
Correct.
Sako umeweka lakini uko na shughuli zako. So kuna wale watu wenye wanasema, for example, kwa bank kuna kitu inaitwa fixed deposit, right? Umeweka pesa hapo, alafu mtu atakuja akwambie ukishaiweka mahali, ikifika kiwango fulani unafaa uihamishe uiweke mahali fulani, itakuwa ina work better huko kwa uzuri. Mtu akitaka kupata faida ya hiyo emergency fund, yeye ende na shughuli zake, lakini mfanyie kazi kwa ukubwa, anafaa kufanya nini?
So ukitaka kupata faida from the emergency fund, yes, itahitaji wewe uiweke hiyo emergency fund kwa an interest earning fund. Let me using one word to describe the other. Yes. An interest earning category. So your emergency fund doesn't just sit and do nothing, where you put 2,000 today, next month you just have 2,000 plainly without interest. And then after 6 months you just have 12,000 plainly. It should be able to earn interest, and now that is the benefit. Sasa hiyo ndo faida unayoongelea, unayoulizia.
Yes,
Sasa in that manner you would look for places where you save which earn interest. So besides the bank savings accounts, we have savings accounts which earn interest. We have the money market funds, which money market funds are a short-term investment where easily liquidatable and still earn interest for you. Slightly more interest than the bank interest rates in the savings accounts. So unapata many people use the money market fund to put their emergency funds there, such that in case of emergency, I pick it from there. In case sasa pesa imeaccumulate, una earn interest because every month you deposit into a money market fund, it earns interest, and then it is compounded. The next month, kama ume earn 100 shillings out of the 1,000 you put, the next month you earn interest from 1,100. So you earn more. It is compounded and it grows every month. So that is the benefit that makes people not save in savings accounts in banks and save in money market funds, because of the interest rate, which is slightly higher and it is compounded. Sasa at the end of the year, let's say hujapata emergency, your money is seated there and imekuwa kiwango kikubwa sasa wahitaji kuitransfer into another larger interest earning investment. So you would now take the, what can I say, not all of it, because you still need to retain your emergency fund. You take part of it, invest into these other non-liquid sort of investments, and retain it. So that way hiyo emergency fund yako bado inakuletea pesa ukiwa kazini pale, unaendelea biashara zako, unaendelea na hustle yako, you're still earning something from your emergency fund.
Okay. Another question. Mostly hapa tumezungumzia mimi Barisa, Gona kivyake, Miriam kivyake. Kuna wale watu ambao wanakuja, tumekuja sote wanne hapa pamoja, and we want to set up an emergency fund. Is it workable
For 4 people combined?
A group, whatever.
Group.
Yes,
it is workable, because most of these money market funds, they have joint and individual categories. So you can do it yourself as Gona, or you can do it as a group, and each of you have access. But signatory in terms of withdrawing, lazima mpe mwingine akwe informed. They get a call back, they get an email, they get a password to allow you to withdraw if a withdrawal is to be done. So kwa hiyo joint, let me not call it venture, but kwa hiyo joint account, money market fund, emergency fund, you can still get it. Besides a money market fund or a group money market fund, you can also do the group circles, you know. So you register a group, and then you take yourselves to the circle, and in case of emergency, even all the 4 of you get the emergency fund disbursed to you. Yes, as a group.
Najaribu kuangalia sasa kiupande wa mahesabu kwamba katika ile savings ndio pale tunatoa emergency fund na investment from the savings zenye tutakuwa tunaweka kwa mfano kwa mwezi. Sasa ukasema pia pengine umepiga mwaka ikawa imezidi, unaweza ipunguza ukaipeleka kwingine. How possible is it kwamba inaweza kufikia kile kiwango cha kusema hii ni emergency fund from the calculations? Because kuna wale wenye wanasema sijui 50 30 20. Sasa from that percentage inaweza kweli fikia the level ya emergency fund yenye inafaa within a year, ama ni kitu inafaa kukua built maybe in some years, the emergency fund yenye kulingana na ile ya reference ya 6 months expenses?
That one is built over a period of time. Uwezi sema ati unajipa time. You also, you know, when you're investing in whatever type of investment you choose, time period is also a factor you should consider besides your capital. So unaangalia how much you're earning. Na unajua kila mwezi naingiza let's say 1,000 or 10,000. Na emergency fund yenye mimi nahitaji ni ya 50,000 au 100,000. Sasa itanichukua miezi ngapi? Unajipa hiyo time period, unaanza kusave towards it. And after that unajiambia any amount saved after that ninaiweka for future long term now investment. So utafika hiyo emergency fund ucomplete, then you still continue putting it there, putting some amount there into the emergency fund, and then when it has reached a substantial amount, let's say another 50, maybe emergency fund yako ni 50,000. Ukisha invest up to 50,000 kwa emergency fund, you put in another 50, let's say by the end of the year. Alafu long term investment yako unapick ile 50 ya juu, unaipeleka kwa long term investment. Unaacha ile 50 ya kwanza ya emergency. So ndo unapata with time. You don't do this as if it's an emergency in itself. Unapata by the end of 2 years uko na your emergency fund in check,
because you're building
your long term investment in check. So hata ile percentage unasema 50 20 30, you will graduate towards achieving it slowly. You can't do it on the get go.
Yeah. So pretty much, Maureen, if we're looking at for somebody who's got, let's say, a salary, right? And so you say 10% is going to my savings, right? So say I'm putting 10% to my savings and then 10% to my emergency fund, right? So if I've done my math and said for my expenses, let's say my expense is 100,000 in a month, right? And I need this for the next 6 months. So that's around 600. So for me to be able to save up 600, I'm setting aside a percentage. So for me to be able to achieve this, if I'm saving 10,000 every month as I'm building towards the 600K. So I'm still putting money in my savings account, but I'm also setting aside a percentage to go to my emergency fund. Yes. And then once I accumulate that, now I stop saving towards the emergency fund, but now channel that money into other investments.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
We are speaking to Maureen Charana. You know what? She's a financial advisor. We're learning about emergency funds. Why do you need it? Do you have any question for us? 0700917917. When we get back, we'll also take a look at money market fund. What type of investment is that? Are you part of it? Should you get involved in money market fund? Does it work for people with a lot of money? Pesa kidogo pia, there's a way you can benefit. Good morning. We're looking at emergency fund, and in studio we do have Maureen Charana, and she's breaking this down. Gona, what's your question?
Hesabu, unajua tukiwa kwa hesabu napenda sana zikifuatiliwa kutokana na ule mfano ambao umepeana Miriam kwamba expenses umeangalia za 6 months ni 600,000.
Yes.
Your target for the emergency fund per month is 10,000. That means it will take you 60 months. 5 years wewe kuachieve hiyo 600,000 emergency fund.
Yes.
So maybe mtu wako kwa contract maybe ya miaka 2 ama 3. That means huenda asifikie ile target ya the 600,000. Is it safe kwake sasa amue badala niweke hii 10 kulingana na zile percentages zake za savings, emergencies? Iko sawa akiongezea ndo afike haraka?
Like, would you rather, Maureen?
Yeah.
Like, would you rather somebody accumulates more when it comes to building an emergency fund? Like, would you rather so if I say I'm setting aside 10,000, would you rather I say, Miriam, set aside 30,000 to be able to build up towards this 600K?
That is only possible if your operating expenses within your current living stature is manageable to that extent.
Okay.
Because you're earning a certain amount of money within those 2 years contract, and you know your target is 600,000. Is it realistic? Is your target proportional to your earnings? Because what are your daily living expenses? What are your monthly expenses? If you're earning 60,000 in a month and your living expenses are 50,000, so you're only left with 10,000 to save for the emergency. That is besides every other item in the budget. So is it realistic for you to put an emergency fund target of 600,000?
It's not, is it?
In that case, it wouldn't be, because you wouldn't have enough disposable income for you to direct your money into the emergency fund. You'll be stressing yourself, and this is where many people break down or die trying, if we may say, if we use that word loosely, because they're trying to achieve something that is not realistic. Even when we set our goals and our targets and our budgets, we must be realistic in setting of budgets. You work within what you're earning, you work within your expenses, and you see, now I have this high target, I have this low income. What can I do to reach there? How do you supplement that income? Do I get another job? Do I get another hustle? Do I get another side business? Or, people even turn to inappropriate means of earning income just to reach certain targets, which is not necessary. Just set realistic goals, stick within the budget, and you'll be able to achieve it. For a person earning 60,000 a month for a 2-year contract, what prompts you to desire a 600,000 emergency fund? Why is it necessary?
So let's say, I think we were looking at a different income, the 100K or more. So let's say now this person earns 60K, right? And their the expenditure totals up to around 50 or even 45. Let's say 45,000. Like in a month, this person, after paying rent, after paying electricity, doing their shopping, transport, a bit of school fee if they have, right? After doing all that calculation, maybe goes to like 45 or 50,000. So meaning this is month in, month out, my expenditure is 50,000, and inclusive of the emergencies in terms of kama kuna matanga, nafaa kucontribute, nafaa kutumia mom do, the dad, all that
is included.
Mama tanga umesema nini?
Matanga ni emergency, hizo ziko
niweke
expenses.
You categorize it also in your budget because it is a recurrent emergency in our lives, in our culture, in our lifestyle.
Yes. So sasa nishamwa, it's 50k, right? This person is spending 50,000. So this person has to work towards
300,000.
Yes, for 6 months. Now this person is making, his emergency is 300,000. So for this person to be able to save 300,000,
30 months.
What are they setting aside on the emergency fund?
3 years.
So there's
300,000.
Yes, 300,000. That's the,
let's say 360,000.
Okay.
3 years. That's 10,000 a month. That is more achievable target.
Yeah.
Because 3 years is 36 months, and every month you have 10,000. So you have 360,000 as your emergency fund, which even if you don't get to the 36 months, maybe you do 34, 33, you have the interest that has been earned already from the first 30 months that you have saved. So you have an interest that will probably be more or less the 360,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as this person is also saving towards this, will this person forget about the savings, the money that's supposed to go to the savings, ama they go concurrently?
No, they should not forget about the savings.
Yes.
Because you see, in your budget, you have a budget for, let's do an example, a hypothetical situation. You have a budget for, in your disposable income, you've budgeted for rent, you've budgeted for electricity, you've budgeted for water, internet, those miscellaneous that are recurrent. And then you've also budgeted for the calls that come from home, back home, which you should categorize the same way as entertainment.
Yes.
In my perspective, because you have to sacrifice something for you to give back. So you either get entertained or you send back an emergency. We have a matanga here, we have a missing
harusi hapa.
Yes,
Kwa
exactly.
budget yako na kampaka black tax.
You must consider black tax because we are Africans.
Yes.
Yeah.
To square wachoyo.
Yes, to square wachoyo, because you also remember where you have come from. These are the people who supported you.
Yes.
Yeah. So even if
weke ile yake ya kanisa.
as long as you don't get wiped out by black tax, because if you don't budget for it, it will wipe you out, because you'll constantly be sending money without a limit, and there needs to be a limit.
Nimekuelewa.
Yes.
Kwanzia leo nitawaisa.
So we're even including the tithe, right?
Yes.
For those of us who tithe.
Yes,
Where?
you put it tithe
Okay.
and rent hapo
Sadaka
pamoja.
na zaka hapo.
Hapo rent,
Where?
electricity, tithe, entertainment,
Indeed.
and insurance for those people who prioritize medical cover or life insurance.
Hapo.
That is also part of it. You put insurance there.
Hakubaki
And then
kitu.
whatever remains is now what is left for you to invest. So you choose.
Jataja food lakini.
Iko kile kitu iko hapo.
Food, electricity, water, insurance, black tax, entertainment.
Kwa 60,000.
Yes.
Minus
Unaweka
government.
That's why where you live, which is usually the biggest expense, should be the most critical decision you make. Because it will eat most of your money and leave you with less, or it will save you a lot of money and leave you with more.
Ongea na watu wakuelewe.
The rent you pay determines how much disposable income you'll have at the end of the month.
Yes.
Yeah. Because even the area you live determines the amount of transport you'll pay. Determines the amount of security, water and electricity you'll be using. There are some places where there are no roads. So you have to use a boda, you have to use so many huge amount of transport to get to your place.
You have to cross the ferry. Yeah.
So, and a lot of time.
Wewe ni wa maana, umeletwa wakati mzuri.
And a lot of time on the road, because sometimes you pay a high amount of rent and you use less time on the road, and you end up having time for other activities which might earn you more income.
Ndiyo.
So you save your time. Time is money, they say.
Yes.
So you save your time, get time for other income generating
Yani kusema
activities.
tuishi tu hapa town.
Watu waishi town, yes.
Na mtu mwenye anaishi Nyali.
Yes.
Who's that?
Yes. So the amount of money you're left with after all these expenses have been paid, you now categorize how much percentage will go into savings, savings for an investment, or into the larger investment, and how much money will stick to the emergency fund.
Ndiyo.
Yeah. So the emergency fund comes after it has been topped up, comes to supplement the savings which you pick and invest into larger investments.
Lakini kikiumana bado savings na emergency weza sema iwe too much.
No.
Hey,
Kikiumana, you
separate.
stick to your emergency fund.
Yes.
Kikiumana una stick kwa emergency.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Please, it is good to be disciplined to this budget, because without discipline, you will end up, all this becomes useless, or if I may be a bit harsh, nonsense. Yeah.
We sema tu, watu
Discipline-
lazima wasome leo.
Discipline is key
Yeah.
in creating and implementing budgets. You can create, and it all means ni maneno tu kwa karatasi. Yes. So you create and you stick to it. Hata ile zaka, you must stick to it, because pale unapelekea Mungu ndio baraka
Zinatoka.
na itaongezeka ukiendelea kupata hiyo baraka. So you stick to your budget, and then you categorize, this is now savings and this is now an emergency fund. This, once you've topped up the emergency fund to your level, please understand that as you're growing in life, your emergency fund should grow with you.
That's the other thing.
Hey.
Because income ya Salim ikipanda,
Hey.
so let's say he's moved from 60K,
Yes.
he's gone to 150,000.
Yes.
So the percentage that he's setting aside towards his emergency fund should change.
Yes.
The percentage that he's
Proportionately.
tithing should change.
Proportionately.
Hey, Mungu
Yes.
wewe.
That he's giving
Lakini
home
black
should
tax.
also change. Black tax.
No. Black tax cannot change.
Najua take home ya leo ni nini? Kwa budget. Black tax.
Yeah.
Take home.
Black tax can be periodic, or rather seasonal, in terms of you'll allow yourself to play black tax to the extent of you can give yourself 5 or 10 years to improve the livelihood of your people back at home. You cannot allow yourself to pay black tax forever. It will be detrimental to your people.
Huku kwetu ni forever.
It can't be forever, because inamaanisha hujamfunza mvuvi kuvua samaki, umempa samaki. You should teach them to fish.
Basi watajifundisha kufish. Black tax tunatoa.
Maureen,
You must teach them.
I really like that. And maybe because now we're trying to understand what kind of security does an emergency fund give us? Because we overlook a lot of things, but anytime we're hit, and for me, I think one of the biggest emergency for people in Akwanga, loss of a job. And I had somebody said, if you were to lose your job today, how many months would you stay afloat? Right? Like would you even do a day? Would you even do 2 months? Would you do a month? So it's like, what kind of security does this give us?
An emergency fund gives us not only monetary security, it gives us mental security.
Yeah.
Because when you're seated at work, you're doing your day-to-day, and at the back of your mind, you have a backup. You'll even work better. You'll be at peace, and you'll be able to concentrate on your work, and you'll be more productive, meaning you can think bigger.
Yeah.
You can take a risk. You can take a risk of starting another side business in the evening, because you have a backup. So an emergency fund not only gives us that peace that you have, that in case of emergency niko sorted, you also have the advantage of taking another risk in starting another income generating activity.
Okay.
So you end up growing. So it is important for us to have an emergency fund so that it can grow us in different areas of life.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's look at another money market fund where that we all talk about. So I hear, if you look at social media, there's a guy who says a money market fund is not an investment. First of all, what do you think about that?
I concur.
You agree?
Yes.
It
is not an investment.
Why?
A money market fund is an alternative short-term saving account. An alternative short-term saving account.
Okay.
Huyu mwenye alisema ni investment alitoka wapi? Hiyo mwaka
In
tulianza.
my-
Tulianza wakatuambia
Maureen.
hivyo.
In my-
Shika mkono.
So when you say it's